Hosea became known for a broken marriage, but that was never the worst part of his story. That's the version people repeat, because it's simple, and it sounds complete. It isn't. This story doesn't start with a relationship. It starts with an instruction. God tells Hosea to marry someone who will betray him. Not might, will. No suspense, no alternative. The outcome is already inside the beginning. So this isn't romance. It's a message, a visible one. And the uncomfortable part, the pain is not a consequence, it's the design. Modern version, it's like accepting a job and realizing on day one that the problem is you. Not the system, not the environment, you. And you don't get to step out of it, because that's exactly where you're supposed to be. So the marriage doesn't start with hope, it starts with tension, with something unstable, something already leaning in one direction. And Hosea walks into it knowing that. Nothing here goes wrong. It was never meant to go right. This wasn't a bad relationship. It was a relationship built to hurt, and that changes everything. Because now this isn't just emotional, it's intentional, it's visible, and people are watching, trying to simplify it, trying to explain it, missing it. So yes, there is pain, obvious pain, the kind people can point at and say, that's the problem, but it isn't, not even close. Because at this point, it's still contained, still surface level, still something he can carry. What comes next doesn't stay like that. It spreads, it deepens, it stops being something people can easily explain, and that's where the weight actually begins. And this was just the visible part, and that still wasn't what was going to break him. Hosea was betrayed repeatedly, and still, that wasn't where he reached his limit. This is the part people stop at, because it's obvious, because it's uncomfortable, because it looks like enough. It isn't. The betrayal isn't hidden. It's public. It happens where people can see it, where people can comment on it, where people can form opinions about it, and they do. Not once, not occasionally, consistently. This isn't a moment. It's a pattern, the kind that stops shocking and starts exhausting. Then come the children, and this part doesn't soften anything. It sharpens it, because they don't receive normal names. They receive messages. Each name carries meaning. Each name points to something bigger, not celebration, not identity, warning, which means every time someone says their name, they're repeating the problem out loud over and over again. Modern version, it's having something personal fall apart and watching it become public conversation, not for a day, not for a week, constantly, like your situation stopped being yours and became something people react to. Humor, if you can call it that. Hosea didn't have a private life. He had ongoing public exposure, and there was no way to step out of it. So yes, this hurts, it's embarrassing, it's draining. It's the kind of situation people assume would break anyone, but it doesn't break him, not here. He stays, he continues, he absorbs it, which is exactly why this part is misleading, because it looks like the worst moment. But it isn't. It's just the most visible one, the kind people remember, because they never look past it. But the real damage? It doesn't come from what everyone sees, it comes from what no one responds to. And that shift changes everything, because what comes next doesn't hurt less. It hurts in a completely different way. Hosea didn't break when he lost his wife. He started to break when he lost the response. This is where the story shifts, not loudly, not dramatically, quietly. He speaks, he warns, he insists, and nothing changes, not slowly, not partially, nothing. The message is clear. The consequences are clear. Everything is right in front of them, and still, no response, no adjustment, no movement. This isn't confusion, this is indifference. He wasn't being rejected, he was being ignored, and that's worse. Because now the problem isn't what's happening to him, it's what's not happening around him. He keeps speaking, they keep moving, like nothing applies, like nothing matters. Modern version. It's telling people something is about to go wrong, and watching them continue anyway. Not because they didn't hear, because they decided not to care. And that changes everything, because now this isn't emotional anymore. It's something else. Nothing he says lands, nothing he does shifts anything. No reaction, no correction, no impact. Just repetition, which turns effort into weight. and meaning into noise. Humor, if you can call it that. Hosea is speaking to an audience that already chose to ignore him. Not distracted, not confused, chosen. And that's where the damage starts, not through conflict, through absence, through the realization that nothing changes. That warning doesn't lead to action. That clarity doesn't lead to response. And that wears down faster than rejection, because rejection is direct. This isn't. This stays. It builds, quietly, and it doesn't look like failure. But it feels like it, because when nothing changes, it stops being about the message and starts being about whether anything matters. And that's when the pressure turns inward. And this is where the pain changes completely. His marriage hurt, but what actually weighed on him was something else, because this wasn't just his pain anymore. He wasn't only dealing with betrayal, he was carrying something larger. Love being rejected, warnings being ignored, connection being refused. And none of it was distant. He was living it, not describing it, not observing it, feeling it, which makes it heavier. Because now the marriage isn't the problem, it's the symbol, the part people can see, the part people understand, but not the part that weighs the most. Modern version, it's fixing something at home and watching everything fall apart outside at the same time, and realizing you can't stop either. So the pressure doesn't come from one place, it comes from all sides. And it doesn't slow down, because nothing changes, and he keeps going, he keeps speaking, even when nothing responds, even when nothing moves, even when nothing shifts. And that's what wears him down, not the betrayal, the repetition. Because betrayal hits once, this doesn't. This stays, this keeps asking without giving anything back. And that's heavier, because at least betrayal ends, this doesn't. This repeats, again, and again, and again. Irony. The most famous part of his story thus wasn't the heaviest one. The part everyone remembers was just the surface. Because the real weight wasn't in what happened to him. It was in what never changed around him. And that kind of pressure doesn't explode. It builds, quietly, until continuing feels heavier than stopping. And still, he continues. Not because it's working, but because stopping isn't an option. And that's what makes this different. This isn't just pain. It's effort without response, and that drains faster than loss. Because loss is clear. This isn't. This keeps asking, without ever answering. And when nothing changes, the exhaustion doesn't pause. The worst pain of Hosea was not betrayal. It was not being heard. Quick recap. A broken marriage, public exposure, a message ignored, continuous effort. Same story, different layers, and none of them were the real breaking point. Because sometimes, what hurts the most isn't who hurts you. It's who doesn't react at all, not rejection, not conflict, silence, and silence stays longer. Because being betrayed hurts. Being ignored wears you down to the end. That's the difference. Betrayal is a moment. Silence is a pattern. It repeats, it drains, it doesn't stop. Modern version? It's explaining, trying again, saying it clearer, and still getting nothing back. No response, no change, no movement. And that's heavier, because at least conflict means something landed. This doesn't. This disappears, and when everything you say disappears, you start questioning if it ever mattered, and that's where the real damage happens, not in what people did, in what they refused to do. Because when nothing changes, effort stops feeling strong and starts feeling pointless, and that breaks faster than loss. Because loss is clear, silence isn't, and that confusion wears you down slowly. Which is why this story isn't about a man who was betrayed. It's about someone who kept speaking and no one chose to listen. He didn't break because he was betrayed. He broke because no one listened. Which overlooked Bible story should I simplify next? Jephthah, Jonah, Job.